Hey, this is AEW wrestler Colt Cabana, and thank you for supporting WrestleTalk. Listen, subscribe, like, and review. And while you're at it and on the internet, please subscribe to my brand new podcast, Wrestling Anonymous. Anonymous wrestling stories told by you, the wrestling fans. Subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. That's Wrestling Anonymous. All right, let's start the show.
Support WrestleTalk!
Be kind to each other in the comments. We've got a new women's champion! Omega Pack and Orange Cassidy had one of the best triple threats of all time, and Miro lobbed a snake in a bag. We're gonna need a bigger boat. I'm Ollie Kawaii. Kawaii! 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 Dressed like Maki Ito for your amusement, as you all helped us pass 800,000 subscribers. You legit voted for this. Please give WrestleTalk a subscribe, super kick that thumbs up button, and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news and review videos. Because we'll think of a whole new humiliation at 850,000 subscribers. But until then, it's time for my review of AEW Double or Nothing 2021 in about 10 minutes. I thought I'd feel anxiety about seeing a wrestling crowd packed with non-socially distanced fans in Daly's place for Double or Nothing. Turns out, all I felt was jealousy. So many times during this show, I thought so hard, I wish I was there, I wish I was there, I wish I was there. Here's a hot take. Wrestling is much better with live fans. I can't believe I forgot how much of a difference a full crowd makes. The buy-in saw a fantastic encounter between NWA Women's Champion Serena Deeb defending against Riho. Using a load of submissions and sunlight distractions, Deeb retained. Hangman Page versus Brian Cage opened the main card, with Brian entering in his best Terminator cosplay, proving that wrestling Terminator outfits never look as cool as people think they will. The match itself, however, was one of the best of the night, with Hangman and Cage clashing in an excellent non-stop back and forth fight, including an awesome deadlift suplex off the bottom rope from Cage, which sent Hangman bouncing off the ramp, and both guys attempting each other's finishers. It was all about the final sequence though, with both guys bringing a lot of character baggage along for the ride. I was worried Hangman might self-sabotage to lose, to dodge his former best friend Kenny Omega yet again, but it was Brian Cage who succumbed to his past, rejecting Ricky Starks throwing him the FTW title to cheat, letting Page win with a buckshot lariat. The crowd went wild, and Hangman cheers the girl with a beer. I want to be that girl. Maybe I am now. Cage then had a brief post-match angle where he left Starks and Hook in the ring, presumably leaving Team Taz for good. John Moxley and Eddie Kingston doing their entrance in front of a crowd made Moxley so excited he lobbed a chair into the stands. And Eddie, oh my, this guy has gotten over, signed to AEW, turned babyface, all while fans weren't there, and his reception contained all that pent-up positivity. I wanted to make the 9-hour flight to Florida just to cheer for him alone. They were up against the perfect heel champions in the Young Bucks in one of the night's best matches, complete with a presumably heelishly bad beard dye job from Nick Jackson, which someone on our live reactions described as being like a bad WWE 2K20 render of Nick Jackson. The Elite got their compulsory 5 interference spots in, with Brandon Cutler, Carl Anderson, and Doc Gallows getting taken out, but Mox and Kingston kept fighting back, even out of a shield bomb attempt from the Bucks. But despite a doomsday device with the shoe, who clotheslines with a shoe? Honestly, a super kick party and multiple BTE triggers meant the Bucks retained. That last sequence maybe being a concussion storyline to write off Mox. Christian entered AEW's Casino Battle Royale in the #1 spot, the same year that Edge also returned at #1 and won the whole thing for WWE, which was also the match that Christian returned from almost a decade of retirement. It's been a long year already is what I'm trying to say. The Casino Battle Royale concept has improved dramatically since its first inception, with each wrestler getting their own entrance pop now, as opposed to entering in a group of 5. It let people like Max Caster cut the excellent "Christian has lost his Edge" line in an opening rap, and provided fun pops for Pentagon dressed as Joker, Jungle Boy getting his entrance music sung by a live crowd, and the really fun surprise spot for Lio Rush, who was unfortunately then eliminated relatively quickly. After some historic interplay between Hardy and Christian, bringing those TLC vibes, the final 2 came down to Cage versus Jungle Boy, the veteran versus the rookie, and the crowd heavily sided with the latter. They played into this terrifically, with Jungle Boy swinging round the ring post in an excellent near elimination spot, which I'm only realizing as I say that is kind of a Jungle Boy-like move, but then throwing out Christian to win and get a future shot at the AEW World Championship, which meant everyone got to sing the theme again. This was a great example of AEW knowing what their fans wanted. Unlike the next match. In one of the pay-per-view's only major missteps, Cody Rhodes beat the up-and-comer Anthony Ogogo while dressed as Homelander from The Boys, seemingly unaware that the Homelander is a meta-deconstruction of the American hero myth and a massive bad guy. He's a bad guy. After Cody beat QT Marshall on Dynamite, I think the latest chapter in the Nightmare Family vs Nightmare Factory storyline works far better, if one of the guys goes over. So if Ogogo won, and quickly. Instead, we got a 10-minute match where Cody kicked out of Olympic boxer Ogogo's punches and then outboxed him to win with not even his finisher in the Vertebreaker. I love Cody, but I found this booking overly nationalistic and makes him increasingly difficult to defend. His real-life wife, Brandy, tweeted in celebration, "You had a nice run, internet, but live crowds are back now." Forgetting the internet is still very much there, where Triple H started to trend on Twitter. Not because Triple H to AEW confirmed, but because so many people were comparing Cody to him for not putting people over. I disagree overall because Cody has lost plenty of pay-per-view matches to put over younger talent, but I do think this was the wrong result. What do you think about Cody and AEW right now? Let me know in the comments down below because I'll be replying to as many people as I can for the first 30 minutes after this video goes live. From out of nowhere, thankfully, Miro then came along to lob a snake in a bag up a ramp. Miro and Lance Archer had a fantastic meat-slapping match with tables and belly-to-belly suplexes into the crowd, topped off by Miro grabbing Jake Roberts' snake, giggity, and then throwing it down the ramp. It was a working snake, I'm sure, not a shoot snake. Miro made Archer pass out in a grapevine game-over variation for a very fun match, presumably so the foreign heel can then drop the belt to Cody. AEW announced All Out will be in Chicago on September 5th. Hikaru Shida's year-long reign as AEW Women's Champion came to an end next, dropping the belt to the fantastic Britt Baker. The match went a very decent 15 minutes plus, and they had a great back-and-forth sequence near the end. This felt more like the start of a Baker reign and the end of a lengthy transitional one for Shida. The shot of Tony Schiavone hugging Baker post-victory made for a very rare, unironic face embrace in a heel relationship. So turns out Sting can still wrestle. Those expecting a t-shirt wearing, minimal bump taking Sting, of which I was one, were very pleasantly surprised in his first in-ring match in front of fans for over 5 years, as he somehow looked like the Sting of old, with crossbodies, Stinger splashes, and the classic Sting outfit. We didn't even get that in TNA. This was the best kind of fan service, with nostalgia and future with Darby Allin all rolled up excitingly into one. Sting wore Darby face paint back at Revolution, so Darby wore Sting face paint here. And Paige and Sky were obviously just very happy to be bumping around like madmen for Sting's offense, including one terrific no-sell spot with Scorpio near the start. Sting got the win, and again, God damn, I wanted to be there live. But even with all the great stuff on this show, it was Kenny Omega versus Pac versus Orange Cassidy that I would have wanted to see in person most. This wasn't only match of the night, it was one of the best triple threats I've ever seen, with character, action, and booking all perfectly working in tandem. To be that technically good as an athletic in-ring wrestling match, as well as having layers of twists and storytelling turns, is unparalleled. The final third took on an extra level of character drama where Pac locked in the brutalizer on Cassidy and wouldn't let go even when Omega was hitting him, so Kenny took out the referee instead. This created an opening where Kenny could use title belt after title belt to lay out his opponents. Even then, Cassidy nearly won before Omega reversed the pin to retain. An absolutely sublime way to book a heel victory. Mark Henry is signed with AEW now. Tony Schiavone abruptly announced he'll be Australian analyst for the promotion's new Rampage show and a backstage coach in yet another big veteran ambassador name leaving WWE. They also announced Full Gear will take place on Saturday the 6th of November in St. Louis. And the main event saw the Inner Circle take on the Pinnacle in a stadium Stampede match. The majority of people appeared to love this match. Unfortunately, I wasn't one of them. I can't see how a promoter looks at your first show back with live fans in attendance, which was, quite foreseeably, the greatest thing about this pay-per-view, and goes, let's have the main event as a pre-tape that doesn't take place in front of them. The Inner Circle and Pinnacle paired off in their respective feuds and saw Wardlow and Hager fighting in a freezer, Santana and Ortiz versus FTR in a nightclub, MJF and Jericho brawl in a boardroom, and eventually Sammy Guevara pinned Shawn Spears in the only part of the 30-minute plus match that happened in front of the crowd. I don't understand why AEW stuck to a lockdown format in what was, until this match, their first very exciting non-lockdown show. And to take a more storyline approach, I think the feud should have ended with a Pinnacle win at Blood and Guts anyway. What did you think of AEW Double or Nothing? Let me know in the comments down below, because I'll be replying to as many people as I can for the first 13 minutes after this video goes live. From out of nowhere, 73% of you voted for I love wrestling shows with fans. I thought Double or Nothing wasn't only a great show for wrestling matches, I thought it was a historic milestone show for the wrestling business as it emerges groggy-eyed from the pandemic. I wasn't a fan at all of the main event or Cody matches, but the opener, tag match, three-way, and all of the Sting was excellent. Double or Nothing 2021 is 4 out of 5.
Oh, what? Oh my god! What a heel!
What else could he do? What else could he do?
That was amazing! That was so amazing!
That is
I can't be loud!